I sat in the squeaky faux leather chair, shifting my weight from side to side. I had seen psychiatrists off and on since I was a teenager with an eating disorder, and they did not usually make me so nervous. I appeared before this thin, white-haired man, every stereotype of a psychiatrist, just a few times a year. I was not particularly unwell, in maintenance mode with some vanilla anxiety and moodiness. I would speak for about 10 minutes. He would refill my prescription. This day was different, though, and I could not sit still. Both excited and anxious, I told him I was pregnant. This meant that I wanted off the meds. My Google searches on psychopharmaceuticals during pregnancy were all over the place. I had no idea what was safe. Besides, I was going to be the perfect pregnant person. That meant no risks to the fetus, no matter how small. I would be abstaining from wine, coffee, and Wellbutrin while pregnant and breastfeeding. He responded with a complete non sequitur. What kind of maternity leave do you have? Was he even listening to me? As a historian, I flashed to generations of male psychiatrists past, to men who dismissed women's complaints as overly sensitive, maybe even hysterical. But it was not a non sequitur after all. I told him I did not have any maternity leave. He furrowed his brow. It was best I stay on the medication, he said. The risks to the pregnancy were low, he told me, and the postpartum ahead was probably going to be very hard. I'd want to be on those drugs then. I was surprised and frustrated. He wanted me to stay on the antidepressants, not because of faulty brain wiring or the chemical imbalances all those pharmaceutical ads had told me about. Instead, he focused on this social and political risk factor. Would I have stopped medication with a different job, or if I lived in a country with a robust social safety net that included parental benefits? Possibly, but that's not where I was. Neither of us believed maternity leave and subsidized daycare would magically eliminate the emotional difficulties of the postpartum period. Even in countries with much better social policy than the U.S., women still commonly show symptoms of postpartum depression. And yet, these questions of social politics and policy are hard to underestimate. He was right. It was a hard postpartum. I did want those drugs. I didn't decide to write this book solely because of that experience. But working on this project forced me to unpack the experience. That one psychiatrist visit brims with the tensions of the larger story.